Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast about the Lord of the Rings, the living card game, where we spend a few minutes of your time discussing cards from the game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I am Grant Thompson, and today we are discussing the leadership hero from the core set, Aragorn, or as we like to call him, Coragorn. He's a 12-threat character with 2 willpower, 3 attack, 2 defense, and 5 hit points. He's got a unique set of traits, something that we hadn't seen much of in the core set, and even right up till, I'd say, partly the way through Heirs of Numenor, which was the Dunedain trait. He's a Dunedain noble ranger with Sentinel, and the response, after Aragorn commits to the quest, spend 1 resource from his pool to ready him. Now, that was quite a unique ability to be able to commit to the quest and then ready to get a second action out of him. It's one of the things that I liked about them was that you had to spend the resource there and then to ready him once he was committed. You couldn't wait from staging to then ready him if you needed to. You had to do it there and then.
When I first opened my original core set and I looked at Aragorn, I thought that they pretty much nailed him for what limited knowledge I had about the game. If you followed the show for very long, you know that I'm not a huge guy on large threat. I typically lean towards heroes with lower threat, but 12 threat I think really matches what Aragorn brings to the Lord of the Rings universe. He was the heir of Gondor, and so associated with that, there was a lot of people, even the good guys were trying to get to him. There was a lot of people trying to get at him. So, you know, when you think about threat being the amount of danger that your group is feeling, I thought that really nailed his character thematically. I like that he's Sentinel because to be able to block and help out friends across the way, and then along with Aragorn in the core set, Theodred came out in the core set as well, and they coupled really nicely together. And I think that that's when I realized there was going to be a lot of awesome card combos, and that's almost, in my book, the original card combo. His stat line plus hit points falls right into where it should be. It's, you know, you add his stats and his hit points, and it's 12, and that's what his threat is. And I usually don't hesitate to consider Aragorn as one of my heroes. Leadership Aragorn is right on that list.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you on everything you've said there. Aragorn, for me, this version of Aragorn especially, is definitely one of the ones I always consider when I'm building a deck. The artwork for this version of Aragorn, I'm holding the broken blade of Isildur in his father, the sword that was broken, I think matches what he was doing. It's not how it was portrayed in the film, but it was definitely how it was portrayed in the book. And I also like the flavor text that they put on these cards. I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and if by my life or death I can save you, I will. His effect is so right for this because he spends that resource to ready so he can either defend with Sentinel or chop down an orc that's bearing on you after you've already defended.
And I think that whole spending the resource, because spending the resource to do something else, whether it's attack or defend, that's thematically what you want out of your rangers. Yeah. You know, you want them to be able to quest almost without, as a passive ability almost, you know, and that's the best way that the game has to create a dual effect hero.
Yeah, when I think of Aragorn, I then look at Boromir from the tactic sphere, from the Dead Marshes. He's 11 threat with 1 willpower, 3 attack, 2 defense, and 5 hit points. He's virtually identical to Aragorn for that 1 extra threat of getting the 2 willpower. It's like the starting threat of your heroes. You can gain Aragorn. And Aragorn has such nice cards that combo with him. The Sword That Was Broken, the Calabrian Stone, the Ring of Barrack, to name a few. All of which give him another resource icon so he can play for more cards, give him extra hit points, give characters extra will, give him extra questing. All come in handy, and when I sit and look at them, it's like Aragorn or Boromir, Aragorn or Boromir, Aragorn wins.
And there's a lot of other heroes that specifically, or not even heroes, but cards. The spirit hero Arwen,
Yeah,
you can gain resources in order to trigger that effect. So like you take Arwen, you discard a card, you get a resource, and you can put it onto Coragorn, and then you can do the second effect. And there's a lot of those cards that say, you could put
the Rivendell Bull is another one,
right? Where if it's attached to Aragorn, you get something else that goes with it, and that's powerful.
Well, I think the way the Rivendell Bull is worded, you attach to a Noldor or Sylvan character or hero, and they gain ranged, or if they've got ranged already, they gain +1. But you can also attach it to Aragorn to give them ranged, which is big because obviously he's got Sentinel. That means he can defend for 2 across the board. Stick an unexpected courage on him, you can ready him. You can then swing for that massive 3 attack power across the board and just help take down one of the enemies.
Yeah, and if we're still talking about spirit attachments, well, I guess you're not talking about a spirit attachment, but if we're talking about attachments, I'm looking at the Star Brooch right now. You can attach it to a Dunedain or a Noldor. It kind of fits thematically with the Arwen, Coragorn thing, and you get +1 will, and you can't have your willpower reduced. I mean, that Star Brooch works really well in that.
And couple that with the Calabrian Stone, and he's sitting at 5 willpower,
right?
Which can't be reduced. That's more willpower than Eowyn from the Spirit Sphere of the core set.
Right, and you can use them twice. Right, with the Calabrian Stone, if you attach it to Aragorn gets the spirit.
That's what I was saying before.
Right, and then you can attach Rohirrim, which is a mount. And so if you're gonna think about bringing any Rohan in there, Rohirrim, you can attach to a Dunedain, and if it's Aragorn, he gets a tactics resource. He gets a response, and it says after you optionally engage an enemy, exhaust Rohirrim and the attached hero to declare that hero is an attacker against that enemy. So it becomes a quick strike.
Obviously, you had him in the core set. You had him again in the Dwaradal cycle.
Right.
You then had him again later on when he came back as a tactics hero.
Right.
I'm just waiting for the spirit one to show up when he's wearing the crown of Gondor.
Right. I mean, it's going to be coming out in the new cycle. It's got to be coming out with the Wilds of Rhovanion. I can't imagine that they wouldn't bring out the last version of Aragorn.
Aragorn for me is probably one of the best heroes that has survived the core set. Whenever I'm building a deck, and I'm saddened by the fact that you can't use them in the Saga expansions because of the fact that you've got the Fellowship versions that you must use. For me, you don't want to use that sort of Aragorn. You want to use Aragorn that you know, that you love. You want to get Coragorn in, or you want to get Aragorn with from the Lost Realm, where he gives the enemies engaged with you -1 defense, and then after he participates in destroying an enemy, choose an enemy not engaged with you and engage that enemy. If you pair them to that one up with Merry from the Black Riders, and give Merry a load of readying effects, you can just chop and chop and chop enemies down for days.
Well, in that same readying, you have the Steed of the North. The Steed of the North, you just attach to him, and then you exhaust the Steed of the North, and then you can ready the hero.
Yeah, I mean, I'll also like the Banner of Alendi for Aragorn. While Aragorn is questing, each other questing character you control gets +1 willpower. While Aragorn is attacking, each other character you control gets +1 attack. That is unbelievably powerful.
It is.
But unfortunately, it's from the Fellowship Sphere, so you have to use
Right.
one of the Fellowship versions of Aragorn. I would also like to see a non-boon card or an attachment like Anduril for the standard game, rather than it being Saga explicit.
So, Grant, where would you rate Aragorn?
I would rate Aragorn a solid number 2. Mainly because of all the heroes, he's probably the most versatile of all the heroes so far. But I don't believe he's quite there at number 1 just yet. I mean, there's a lot of attachments that rank them at number 2. We've covered most of them so far in the podcast. I'm not sure quite yet what would make a number 1 hero.
Right.
But Aragorn is very close.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to agree with that. Aragorn, I think, is a great hero. He has lots of amazing attachments. The leadership sphere is one of the best spheres for attachments and variety of cards to play. While it's not a solid 2, I think I'm going to probably say that Aragorn is a 2. Join us next time as we discuss the attachment Boots from Erebor.